Let me make just one or two comments. First of all, this whole thing has had something of an Alice in Wonderland nature to it. The noble Lord Kerr, who I have known and enjoyed his company for many years, said that nobody said during the campaign that this meant leaving the European Union meant leaving the customs union. That is complete nonsense, with great respect to the noble lord. I was for a time chairman of Vote Leave, which was recognised by the Electoral Commission as the official spokesman for the Leave campaign, and we made it absolutely clear that leaving the European Union meant leaving the customs union and leaving the single market. But it wasn't just us. On the other side of the debate, both the then Prime Minister and the then Chancellor of the Exchequer made it clear and explicit that leaving the European Union would mean leaving the customs union and leaving the single market. Exactly. So it is nonsense to say that this was not put plainly and clearly to the British people. But of course, this is really a political debate. And I can see that there are political reasons for wanting to remain in the European Union. I accept that. I think the political reasons for leaving the European Union are very much stronger. But what is absolute nonsense is to suggest that there is an economic case for what is being put forward in this amendment. Quite apart from the political problem, as my noble friend Lord Lamont pointed out, and as others have pointed out on that side, our side of the debate, is what is being proposed is that we should not be in the European Union, but we within the customs union. In other words, we should be in a quasi-colonial status. That is not something which I think the British people as a whole will give house room to. But what is even more nonsensical is the idea that you cannot trade without a trade agreement. I hope we can conclude trade agreements, but you can trade without. The rest of the world, most of the world is not in the European Union. Most of the world does an enormous amount of trade with the European Union. Most of the world is growing a great deal faster, which is rather more important, than the European Union is. If the customs union was so wonderful and the single market, then the European Union would be the most dynamic part of the world economy, which it certainly isn't. And as it is, our trade with the rest of the world is growing far faster than our trade with the European Union. It's not merely greater than our trade with the European Union, but it's growing faster. And indeed, to some extent, my noble friend Lord Patton gave the game away when he pointed, and I commended it, he pointed to the German success in trade with China, in exports to China. There is no agreement, a trade agreement involved in that. It is a fallacy to believe that trade agreements, bilateral trade agreements, are as important as trade. It's trade that matters. And within trade, it's the World Trade Organization, the WTO system, which is overwhelmingly important. So I say to this House that this is basically a political argument, and I accept that there are arguments on both sides, and I happen to feel the political arguments for leaving the European Union are greater than the political arguments for remaining in. This is a political argument dressed up as a trade argument, and the trade argument bears no substance whatsoever. And therefore I urge the House to reject what is in essence, a wrecking amendment.